Happy Wednesday. I am so excited to be getting on here live again. And thank you so much for tuning in. If you are catching this live, go ahead and give me I'm here or team live, whatever it is inside of the comments. Say hi. Let me know that you're watching. And if you are watching on the replay, congratulations. You're a rock star. Go hashtag team replay. So I'm coming to you early because I am currently thick in the middle of getting prepared for my career architecture retreat. And what this is it's people who are in my corporate cash machine mastermind, which is my program for senior professionals who are adding $100,000 or more to their income during our time working together. We can do that in 9 weeks. Hey, Ron, so great to see you. Thanks so much for checking in. And so I'm coming out early because I have to pop off and finish that up because we've got it going on with all the graduates we've had. And I know that it's a little scary out there in the job search world. And so I'm coming to you today. Hi, Dr. Ing or Ahmed. I don't know how you go by it. So great for tuning in. So say hi. If you're joining me live, say hello. I know I'm coming to you early before 8 a.m. in the Pacific time zone, which is where I'm at. So I want to talk today about how you can get out of the reject pile. In fact, particularly how 5 ways you can get your resume out of the reject pile. Now, I'm going to tell you that along the pathway of intentional career design, which is my proprietary system, the resume is just one step. However, it is like the ticket to the job search game. And while it is not the thing, it is a very important piece of marketing your business. Let me tell you about that. First off, you are running a business. It's called Me Inc. You've been in this business since the moment you took your very first breath. And so I want you to embrace that this is a piece of marketing material. Hi. Somebody said hello on LinkedIn. It doesn't, the way StreamYard works, it doesn't tell me actually who is saying hi in some cases. So thanks, Ron told me on Facebook that he was joining. So if you just say hi, let me know who you are so I can say hello back to you. If you're joining me live, again, say hi. Go ahead and like, comment, and then if you're not following along, hit follow or subscribe on whatever platform you're on so I can keep sharing some of these beautiful things with you about job searching. So job searching really comes down to having a really successful resume to start. That's the very first path, is really having an optimized piece of marketing material to market one product that's inside of your business, and that is you. Now, when we put on a business hat, it lets us take away the personal themes of rejection when we continually get those rejection notices. And so when I am talking about being in Me Inc., I'm wanting you to embody that these are business decisions and it's not personal, it's just business. You might have heard that. You might have even heard that at the time when you've been laid off. And inherently, it is very personal. And so I want you to take that same approach in how you choose to move forward in your career. Because if we think like a business person, it takes away things around wounds we have about feeling worthy or rejection, and even that process of falling into job search depression. So let's jump in really quick because I only have a few minutes here. So 5 ways to get your resume out of the reject pile. And I'm going to tell you, most of the resumes I see are cringeworthy. They are. I've reviewed over 1 million resumes. I have seen every template that is out there. I have reviewed them. And most of the time, guys, 99% of the time, it's getting rejected from me. Okay. And so when I say that, I want you to know, how do I get out of the reject pile? And please know, it's not personal. It's about whether or not you, in 6 seconds, are making the case. Hey, Bill, you're making the case that, hey, I am able to do this job and to perform it to the capacity of what you have advertised and the things that are happening behind the scenes, which is what the hiring manager is sharing with me as the recruiter about what really matters most. Okay. And so your job in your resume is to be able to communicate that in 6 seconds. That's it. You got 6 seconds to do it. And so the first thing you need to know is less is more. Okay, let me say it louder. It's kind of like makeup. Less is more. And what I mean by that is that you need to keep your resume short and sweet. This is not your tell-all book. Nobody's reading your autobiography. This is a selected highlight reel of your accomplishments, okay? So you need to keep it short and sweet to 2 pages. There are a few exceptions to that. If you have published a book, you have a TED Talk, you're a Google scholar, some of these things can do that. Now, I have some of those criteria on mine. I do not have a 3-page resume, okay? So stick to a 2-page resume. And here's why. We spend 4 seconds on the first page, 2 on the second, and we don't even look at the rest, okay? So please don't waste my time or your energy, and if you're printing it, all the paper, by creating a resume that's not going to get read. You need to make sure your resume is checking the box on being short and sweet, and being able to edit yourself is a key place for you to understand what is most marketable about yourself. And if you can't communicate that, I guarantee that nobody else is going to know. So you have to get really good at this. Okay. So that's rule number 1. Less is more. Okay. Say it in the chat for me. If you're following along, team live, team replay, less is more. Okay. And if somebody would be so kind as to post the link that I put in the description here, because if you want to know more about this, I cover it all inside of my 5-minute 6-figure resume checklist. If you want to see if your resume is 6-figure worthy, it's totally free. Go grab it right now. We had 175 people do it as of yesterday, and I just released it. Okay. So go grab it while it's still out there. Okay. The second thing is we're going to say, keep it clean. Okay. Keep it clean. Hi, Stephanie. All right. So what I mean by that is you've got 6 seconds. And so you want to make sure your resume is optimized for viewing time. And how you do that is really making sure it's formatted correctly, okay? The reason why format matters more than content is if I can't find it. I remember one time I got this resume and it was like, I mean, I reviewed hundreds of thousands of resumes at the time of this career already. And I was just like, I mean, it was like an assault on my visual senses because it was like bold and red and green and everything. Nothing was aligned in any way. And I was just like, I can't even see what you're doing. It's like waving streamers. Like, yeah, you got my attention, but for all the wrong reasons. Thank you so much for saying, Frank. Frank says, less is more, less is more. Okay. All right. This is Ron. He's saying, here's a checklist. I'm going to go ahead and put it down there. Thank you so much for posting that. Okay. So you've got 6 seconds. So you want to make sure that you got some key areas optimized. If you're not sure what those are, I go into this inside of my checklist. But in addition, I actually go through a training where I walk you through every single piece. I'm talking about what size margins, what type of fonts, where you should have certain areas highlighted. You want to make sure you go check that out. Okay. All right. So number 2, go ahead and write it in the chat for me. Keep it clean. All right. So less is more. Keep it clean. I'm going to give you some 3-word phrases for each of these 5 steps. Keep it clean. All right. Number 3 is show, don't tell. Yeah. Bill says less is much more. Exactly. Show, don't tell. And I'm going to give something that Ron told me yesterday. What did he say? He said, if your jobs that you have listed on your resume, if it's a good job description, it's a lousy resume. Okay. If it's a good job description, it's a lousy resume. All right. Now this is going to be like kind of insulting for some of you because you're like, hey, I'm doing what you said. I'm trying to match the job description. Okay. There's a way where you can go, remember yesterday, and if you haven't caught it, go check out my live I did yesterday where I talk about putting on your strategic hat and taking off your tactical hat. If you are a job description, you are easily outsourced, you are automated, you are redundant, and you do not add to the bottom line. You are cost and not an investment. And I say that with love, and that means I'm going to tick some people off. But I am not really caring about that because I want you to be successful here, okay? So if it's a good job description, it's a lousy resume. So instead of saying things like good communicator, and did you know that saying team player decreases hireability by 51%? If you've got team player on there, get it off of your resume right now. Now, here's why. You cannot demonstrate that you are a good communicator or problem solver or servant leader and all this bogus things. These are called soft skills. Do you know where we verify that? We do it inside of the interview. So you're just telling me when people, in fact, when people are like, I'm a really good communicator. And I was like, I will decide that first off. That's the point of my interview. And yeah, somebody says, I know it wasn't good. I didn't. Oh, the 51%. Yeah, it was not good. It's not good. So I will decide whether or not you're a good communicator. And the more you emphasize that, the more I don't believe you, believe it or not. So that's what, and I've heard that from that's my own perspective. And I've heard it from several recruiters. And so what I want you to do is focus on hard skills. Okay. Things that I can say, hard skills are things that are learned or you have been trained on. Okay. And so that might mean like for me, I'm like, I'm a people person, right? I am a people person. I love people. That is not a marketable skill. So what I can say is I'm a really good network and I've grown my network and my reach by millions, right? So I could use that as an example for what I'm doing. Okay. So when I talk about this, demonstrate your accomplishments strategically with metrics and results and quantify your impact. Excuse me. You want to remove anything that is tactical or fluffy. Now, what do I mean by fluffy? Miss America answers like, I've done all of these things and I just want world peace. Okay. Laundry lists and fluffy things that really have no tangible, I kind of say they're like Chinese food, that digested and discarded very quickly. Okay. So you need to have result driven. So your rule number 3 is show, don't tell. Write it in the chat. Let me know that you're following along here. And if you're catching me on live, joining in right now, say hi, give me a like, give me a follow, give me a subscribe. That way I can keep advising you on this path of job searching. All right. Number four, beat the bots. All right. Beat the bots. Now, I talked about this yesterday, went off a little tirade here. So when I say beat the bots, I'm telling you about the applicant tracking system. And there are more, it's not some crazy robot that's going in there that's reviewing your resume. However, have you watched ChatGPT? Have you watched the transformation in the last 12 months of how AI is impacting it? AI is like your new computer. Okay. So do you remember when we used to not have laptops? I was part of that generation because I'm an elderly millennial, right? I'm a geriatric millennial, I think is what they call us. And so your AI is now a tool that's going to help you be successful in this new world, right? This is an era that we're now in, okay? And so when I say beat the bots, I'm preparing you for now and for the future because I've been talking about artificial intelligence because I worked on some of the most top secret things inside of Amazon that I am still not able to disclose, even though it's been nearly 6 years since I worked there. And so when I say you need to be prepared for automation, for machine learning and artificial intelligence, you better believe it, okay? And so how do you do this? Guys, the key way to do this is you need to keyword match your hard skills to your target roles. Okay. And so that means that you need to do, and one of my favorite resources, it's even on my checklist. If you haven't gone to grab it, go do that. Is JobScan. So if you go to JobScan, they're based here in Seattle. They built this application that'll let you evaluate it. Now, I don't want you to listen to most of the stuff that they say on there. I've advised them. They're not run by a real recruiting experience. They're run by somebody who has created apps and they're great marketers and they have some really good tools. Most of the advice I find is not that great these days. And so I'm looking for a 50% match for your roles. But what you want to make sure is that you are covering the skills that are on your desired jobs. And so if you are not showing that you're qualified in project management, whether or not you're qualified to do it in your mind or you've had experience, you've missed the boat on making sure you've made your case to the recruiter. Okay. So I see this all the time, like, well, I'm really good at my job, or I was really well qualified at it. And I was like, then you didn't make a good job of making your case, or you've created some of these other problems that, less is more, keep it clean, show, don't tell. Okay. So I want you to beat the bots by keyword optimizing. And if you want to go deeper into this, I go into this in depth inside of my 5-minute 6-figure resume checklist. Okay. And now step number 5. Okay. So I will go through all the work of reviewing all these millions of resumes, right? Hundreds of thousands of resumes, I should say. And I couldn't get into yes or no piles. After I validated it and I've had a conversation typically with my potential target, that I am going to then put you in front of the hiring manager. I'm going to summarize what it is that you bring to the table, and then I'm going to send off your resume. And let me tell you, the amount of times I have had the resume you turn down, even after passing the interview, because you didn't get something right on your resume is so high, it's worth its own bullet point. So I'm going to give you the last thing, which is polish that diamond. So say it in the chat for me if you're following along. Polish that diamond. And here's why. There are really easy mistakes that you can make that spell check won't catch. Things like manger versus manager. And one of my favorite stories is when somebody put down that they were a night stalker. They were at a grocery store. This was very early in their career. Probably shouldn't be on your resume the more senior you are, but I was early in my career as well. And instead of stalker, STOCKER, they put stalker like STALKE are the kind that you go to jail for, okay? And while it was laughable, and I have a very different perspective of recruiting, and I like to look at every resume, that's not the majority of people. So you want to make sure you don't just spell check, you grammar check it. And there's some other steps to really making sure you polish that diamond. And I'm going to walk you through that so you don't get disqualified when you're halfway down the road. If you've ever had an interview canceled, you might be committing this resume faux pas, all right? Now, last thing I'm gonna give you on show or polish that diamond is never send your resume in a doc or a Google Doc format. Send it in a PDF. And here's why: we don't lose the format. It doesn't become wonky when I use Google Docs and Word. And let me tell you, when I'm looking at resumes, I have no idea how it's going to show up, and it becomes bungled and ugly. So send it off in a PDF. And once you've mastered these 5 key areas, you're going to see a massive change in response to how you show up as a candidate. Can you imagine having an inbox filled with interview requests? Can you imagine that? That is what I am trying to get for you, okay? And so I cover everything that I just talked about and more in detail on my 5-minute 6-figure resume checklist. So if you're trying to land your first or your next 6-figure job offer, head on over. The link is down below. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're watching on live, say hi again, follow, subscribe. If you're watching on Team Replay, please let me know. I do look at these comments. And thanks for tuning in. Time to take my kids to school. I'll see you guys soon.